2 raging book nerds, 14 years of friendship, and 1 burning question.
If Katniss Everdeen posted on Reddit, would she be the arsehole?
Welcome to Once Upon a Red Flag. This season, we're stepping into Panem, where every tribute, tyrant, and mentor gets their day in the Am I the Asshole courtroom.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Rachel.
And join us while we read between the red flags and break down the Hunger Games, one questionable decision at a time. Welcome back to Once Upon a Red Flag podcast. This is episode 3.
Episode 3. We look the same. We look the same as last episode.
We do.
It's been 30
I do
minutes
wash my
for
clothes.
us.
I do promise.
It's the same day. I've had an upgrade. In the meantime, a microphone has arrived. So I may sound wilder or clearer. Not sure which.
I don't know if that's good or not.
You get to hear my dulcet northern tones in better clarity. Yes, you do. So before we get into today's episode, we teased this all of 5 minutes ago for us, a week for you. We teased today we are dealing with Peeta. But Katie, once again, vaguely themed along last week's question, you love this series. And
I do.
I'm assuming this would class as sci-fi, right? Dystopian science fiction YA.
Yeah.
We have
I guess
hovercraft.
it's more dystopian. It's not,
We have hovercrafts and we
more based
have
in real
like
world.
medical like things, right? This is the closest I get to sci-fi, to be entirely honest with you. I am not a sci-fi reader. I once read H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. Can never suffer through that again. But sci-fi or fantasy, if you could only ever read one for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh God, I know my answer feels like such a betrayal. If there's only one thing I could read for the rest of my life, it would have to be fantasy. Just because most of my books now that I read are fantasy. It just happens to be that my favorite YA series is classed more as sci-fi.
It's definitely more sci-fi than fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Dystopia is the best way of saying it, but there are a lot of inventions in the future, and we are in one of the biggest tropes of sci-fi is set in the future.
Yeah,
right?
Post-apocalyptic dystopia.
So, but I've never been a big sci-fi person, so fantasy all the way. Like I can't say anything else. Like, so I read this series for the first time when I was about 16. I binged this series in 3 days. Loved it. Had a slight issue with the ending, which I now get as an adult and think was entirely the right choice. We will get onto that at some point in this podcast, and never picked it up again until we discussed this podcast this year, at which point I had to rebuy these books because I went, I'll never read them again. Clearly that's wrong. But then again, I've also highly debating buying the very pretty box set of Twilight now. And I gave them away as a teen, and I loved them with a passion.
For some reason, I went back to my parents' house. I moved out like when I was 18, so a while ago. And for some reason, the only Twilight book I have left at my parents' house is Breaking Dawn. I don't know where the rest have gone. They've gone walkabout.
What happened with the other 3?
I have absolutely no idea. I also went back trying to find my Hunger Games books. They've disappeared. So I also had to go. I went round all the secondhand bookshops here in Northumberland and North Tyneside, because that's where I live. And yeah, I just tried to pick them up for cheaper, because the new copies, even though they're beautiful, are so expensive.
Yeah, I didn't buy the new ones. I bought the little book set. I think I have. I don't. It's in the other room. But I have this classic like bold cover colour ones, and they are gorgeous. And I'm reading them again, reading YA again, like the type size and the font setting of YA. Just it tingles something right in the brain. Because I'm used to reading. It is. And I'm used to reading. Though, to be fair, like one of the series that I picked up, I haven't quite read it yet, but I got the same feeling from it looking at V.E. Schwab's Dark Shade of Magic. Because it was the same kind of binding, the same typeset. I think it was the box sets, because I used to read a lot of box sets as a kid. Because I'm like big into like high fantasy worlds right now. I read all of Throne of Glass this year.
Nice.
And looking at the thickness and the typeset and the font size and how many words there are on a page. And I'm reading one called The Historian right now. And it's 700 pages long. And it's a small typeface. and the pages are really thin. So that it's chunky. It's like about that thick.
Yeah.
But you know, when you look at a book and you go, how far through it am I? Oh, I've read like 200, 300 pages. I'm a good way in. And then you look and it's like a fraction of where you feel like you are. And it's a
Painful
bit
sometimes.
disheartening.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. So it's a positive experience. But could I give up ACOTAR and Fourth Wing and even the stuff that I
Yeah.
read as a teen?
I
love Beautiful Creatures, Hush Hush.
I couldn't give up
Fallen.
Fourth
Nah.
Wing. I am a big Fourth Wing fan. I love the books. I'm not going to get too deep into that in case we do a season on that.
I think if we don't do a season, you might murder me.
That's very true.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would have to actually finish Onyx Storm because I skip ahead sometimes. I will admit that if I'm getting sus about the relationship status of a couple, I kind of want to know what I'm walking into. I have been through enough heartbreak in these books to realize when I'm going to be duped. So I skipped ahead a little bit to the end of Onyx Storm just to see what kind of situation we ended up with. And then I stopped reading midway through Onyx Storm. I was like, this is a good place. Let's leave them in a good place now.
See, I've read
until
about
the next
half.
books come out.
I've read about half of it, and then life kind of took me away, and I need to go back and finish. But I want to do it when I can actually sit down and read the physical book. I don't want to listen to the audiobook. But I know you know how that ends and where that's going, and you need to just don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it, but I am going to wait until we have another book before I read the rest of Onyx Storm. Part of me is crying out to be in that world again, and the other part of me knows what's coming and doesn't want to.
Okay, you're scaring
really
me
doesn't
now.
want to.
You're scaring me now. Let's
move swiftly on into the trials and tribulations of Peeta and Katniss, as opposed to Violet and Xaden. Right? Okay. So before Katie starts crying. Baker Boy, our lovely Baker Boy, has written, am I the asshole for telling the whole country about my crush before I tell her? Eek.
Awkward.
But Peeta can do no wrong in my eyes. So let's hear the boy out. So I, 16 male, was chosen to compete in a televised survival competition with a girl, 16 female, I've vaguely known for years. We grew up in the same town, but I wasn't really close to her. Not close enough to really speak to anyway. Still, I've liked her as long as I can remember. He's just so cute. Before we enter the actual competition, every competitor has to do a public interview on a talk show. I've had some coaching. I'm meant to be memorable and get the audience to like me. We have to survive in the arena, and I need people to sponsor me to give me an advantage. I don't really have many survival skills to start with, so memorability might be all I'm working with here. When it got to my turn, they asked me if there was anyone special back home. I ended up admitting that I did like someone, but since only one person can survive the arena, I wouldn't be able to go back home to tell her she was going into the arena with me instead. The crowd went wild. My mentor loved it. He said it made us seem human, would garner us sympathy from sponsors, and painted us as star-crossed lovers. She wasn't so happy. She reacted badly, and I got punched.
Oh, God.
It's pretty bad reaction, to be honest.
Yeah.
She had no idea how I had felt about her. I didn't really see much point in telling her beforehand. I didn't speak to her before we got chosen to compete. And then once we were both chosen, it wasn't like anything could actually happen between us anyway. But I think I stunned her. I think she thinks it's all an act. Really, whatever gave that away. I think she thinks it's all an act for the cameras. Like there is no genuine feeling behind it. It's complicated. My feelings are genuine, but admitting to them has just given us both a sponsor advantage. And I did know this when I said it. It's not about protecting myself. It protects her too. But I'm wondering if I crossed a line. I used something personal to manipulate the public and dragged her into my own narrative without her consent. Am I the asshole here?
Oh, Peeta. Oh, my boy. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's dive in.
I'm going to start this with the bread. This always comes back to the bread.
It's a pivotal moment in this relationship.
We know that Peeta saved Katniss's life by throwing her that bread when they were starving. And we discussed this, especially in episode 1, about how, she didn't want people to know how bad it was. She didn't want people to know they were starving because she didn't want Prim to end, and her, and ultimately to end up in the children's home. And she had, because of this, so much pride and, not really wanting to discuss this with anybody. She didn't even speak to him, or never really spoke to him to thank him. It was very much an exchange without words, an understanding between them two that he was helping her out in a time of need and she really needed it. And I think such a sweet thing for him to do.
It's so sweet. It's so sweet. And then to snub someone kind of like after they did something so nice for you.
Yeah.
It is kind of shitty. Let's be honest. I mean, she's 11, and we have discussed the fact that she has all the emotional range of a tree stump.
Tree stump.
She's not really aware of what she's feeling, is she?
Yeah.
But she's a child. She's embarrassed, kind of, because she shouldn't be the one to be putting food on the table. But Peeta just kind of gets it. Like, at no point does he ever approach her and bring it up. He sees her around town. At no point does he ever even come over and be like, hey, you good?
Yeah.
Do you want more bread?
Yeah.
Like, do you need me? He just recognizes
I
that
think
she doesn't want to talk about it. He just lets her get on with it. And it's just the emotional maturity from a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah. I think the fact that he never goes up to her, never tries to acknowledge it, we know he has feelings for her, never uses that as like an in to to get close to her, to kind of act on those feelings. It shows a lot, and it does show a lot of emotional maturity to not do things to expect something in return.
Yeah.
And I think that more than anything is love in a sense. You're doing something for someone else without thinking about what that effect that will have for you, or what that will mean for you, and how that can benefit you. I think that's such a big thing.
I guess there's also part of it that is if he was to bring it up, so the place they see each other is more at school, right? I'm assuming like Katniss is afraid of going into the children's home. I'm assuming it works like it would here, whereas like the school would raise like a complaint to be like, hey, this kid's not doing well.
Yeah.
Like, even then is Peeta protecting Katniss, because if it does come out, so he never mentions it again, it's like a one and done situation, because if it does come out and someone overhears them having that conversation, would that then also put her at risk again?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
So then he's still protecting her. He's fed her, and he's also making sure that she isn't taken away. She's done all this work to not be taken away from her mum, and to put her in Prim, the words are failing me now, her and Prim into a worse situation in the children's home, and he's just helping. But I think part of her, she's just ashamed.
Yeah,
she just does not
want to ask for help.
I think she literally says something like the odds really aren't in her favor when Peeta gets picked, because now she's being forced to talk to him, and she's somehow managed to avoid speaking to him ever.
I know.
Up to this point. And now they're going to be locked in a room together.
Oh God. Well, we know what happens. We know what happens about them going into the games, and we're going to discuss that as this goes on. But I think, just to reiterate this bit, I think when everyone's like, oh, I don't know whether Peeta actually loves her, I don't know if that's real, or all that kind of thing, I think it all comes back to the bread.
It all comes back to the bread.
This doing something without expecting something in return really does show that the feelings he has for her are genuine. And I don't know, maybe my love language is acts of service. That just could be.
They do always say though that food tastes better when it's somebody else's. So that used to be an excuse in sort of like my household growing up. So we'd be out we'd go out on a weekend and we'd go to visit some places, cafes and things, and I'd beg for a bowl of chips. And my mother's excuse for pinching my chips was that they always tasted better when they were mine and not hers. And then we did the same thing back. I'm like, excuse me, I will have some of that. Oh, got a chill baby dessert. Thank you very much. Sharing and acts of service. And yeah, it's usually something that bonds people together as well. So think of cultures where it is not the norm to order your own food in a restaurant. I'm thinking like a lot of like Indian restaurants where you order for the table, right? You order a curry and a couple of sides and something, and then they give you plates. And you family style pull out what you want, and you're all sharing. Say, hey, try have a bite of this. And it is a bonding thing. And I guess now they actually get even now. He's given her the bread here, but it reminds Katniss of the bread when he's dipping bread into his hot chocolate on the train.
Yeah.
And he says to her, you should try it, it's good. Like, he's just so sweet. He's just
so sweet.
willing to share everything.
And he manages to keep that sweetness as well. And I know that's going to be a lot of what we speak about, not necessarily in this episode, but the other Peeta-centric episodes we have as we go further through the series. But he just never quite loses his goodness.
His goodness, his innocence, his optimism. He's just such a good guy. I've just realised that I have said, but he's so good.
He is good.
He is good, but he does kind of confess his love in a very, very public setting.
Okay, yeah, a segue
may not be as good. Yeah. So what's your first thought with that?
Okay, so yeah, obviously he does confess his love publicly during this interview, and later we do find that, you know, Haymitch and everyone on the team was in on it, which is kind of like an extra layer thing, right?
Yeah.
But we don't actually really know whether, at this point anyway, whether Peeta said that because that's true and that's how he actually feels, or whether that's literally survival strategy cooked up by Haymitch.
Yeah, so I'm going to get big into this later, but like, it is, I guess, whether who brings it and who realizes all this stuff, I will go deep into. Like I did with the Effie, I have a lot of thoughts on this. But Haymitch is involved here, right? So we also can't really give 16-year-old Peeta the full credit for this scheme. I think it was something, my personal feelings is that it's a scheme cooked up together, because I can't imagine Peeta, the cute little like 16-year-old, emotionally mature but blinded by love, effectively, would have made this move on his own. He's 16. He is new at this. This is his childhood sweetheart who he's never confessed his love to before. I can't imagine him wanting to put his heart on the line in that way to her, in such a public way, in such a public setting. I think he's kind of taken advice from the loveless older man in this world right now.
But
and that's always bound to be a bit of a miss rather than a hit.
But like, you also have to remember that Peeta is desperate. Like at this point, Peeta is desperate. At this point, you know, they've done their training, they've got their numbers, and Katniss's number was so much higher than Peeta's. And we know that Peeta no longer wanted to be trained with her, asked specifically to go back on the plan that they had and didn't want to be trained with her anymore, as he had to start with. And Peeta at the start talks up Katniss's skills more than his own, and he knows, on top of all of this, that his own mother has said to his face that she thinks and almost wants Katniss to win rather than her own son. And it really is everyone and everything against him at this point, because can you imagine going off to a competition where if you lose, you die, and your parents are essentially coming to you and betting,
saying Yeah.
on
Oof.
someone else, which is so rude. And then you get the training with all the numbers, and it's more and more confirmation that, yeah, like you're not going to win. The person that you've come with is better. Your mum was right, which is never good, never nice. Your mum was right, and in this case, it probably means you're going to die. And he is clutching on for anything that could save him.
I guess this point though, like, comes back to, does he do this with purely selfish intent? Because I don't think he's even thinking of just himself. So, like, the thing is, like, so we always knew his mother was a bit of a dick. We
Yeah.
kind of like get to this point, and I'll bring this up again later. I have plans, but she chases Katniss away from the bins. Katniss is like in the bins looking for food, and she chases her away because she doesn't want to seem scum, effectively, like pawing through trying to survive. Which means obviously, like, this is a frequent occurrence. This is Katniss's first time, but it's not the first time someone from the seam has been desperate for food.
Yeah.
And then Peeta burns the bread purposely, gets a backhander for his trouble. You're not telling me that's the first time he's been hit.
Yeah.
Not a chance. But
Yeah.
then when he's using this information of even my own mother thinks you'll win, he's using it to Katniss, not to hurt her, but to give her like faith in herself.
This is what drives me up the wall, because I was literally just re-listening to that bit of the audiobook, and when he's saying, oh, you know, like, my own mother thinks you will win, and he's talking up her skills and saying, oh, she doesn't know the effect that she can have and all this sort of stuff, and Katniss is sat there going, that was definitely an insult. He's done that to
100%.
insult me. And then he's like, oh, maybe that was a compliment. And she's like, no, like,
No,
he's
it can't
definitely done
possibly
that
have
to
been a
throw me off.
compliment. Why would he say something nice about me?
Katniss, for God's sakes. And you annoy me so much sometimes. So much.
Like, you can't blame her for it, but like, she's been through a shit circumstance, but she's still bloody annoying with that. But we also have the hindsight of being what? I'm not going to put a number on how many years older than her we are right now.
Oh, please no.
We have the benefit of years.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, though, where they are right now, one of them is gonna have to kill the other.
Well, yeah. This is what I was thinking. Probably because, you know, he realized he was either gonna have to kill her or be killed by her if it came to it. And who wants to face that with somebody that they love and that they've had feelings for such a long time? Does it almost protect him after seeing that number, seeing how much higher her number was? You know, with the girl who might have to kill him still might feel sorry for him.
I guess one part of Peter's position is because there is a very good chance that it could come down to one versus the other, right? And I guess in his world, do you want to kill the girl you love? Do you want the girl you love to kill you? Or would you rather fight it out with somebody else?
Yeah.
So even if this drives a wedge between them, even if it pulls away that pally exterior that they've been faking, and they end up going their separate ways within the arena, it kind of puts a wedge there so that they can't be pushed together as allies if she does feel bad. But then I sort of wonder if this part is this part of the reason that he joins the career pack.
Yeah,
because
I was just thinking.
We know he ends up getting injured for his issues. Like, he gets a good pushing, his hands end up all cut up, right? He can't take care of himself in the same way, so it protects him if he teams up with the career pack, because he has knowledge of Katniss that they can use against her. But then he puts himself in harm's way, because that's a risky move, right? To go up as a weakling to the career pack with playing everyone off against each other. I mean, wonders whether this is Peter's so good. I don't think he is this conniving. I think this is a Haymitch plan, personally.
Yeah, do you think?
But he can't defend himself. The career pack comes after him. He can't do shit. He can lift things, fabulous, but his hands are kind of damn important to do that. And all his hands are busted up the night before. But then if he gets in, she is protected because they're going to go after her. She's got an 11. She is public enemy number 1 in that jungle. So they're going to go straight after her. That gives him chance to protect her from being killed right off the bat. But then he has to know that at that point, if he saves her, she won't be the one to kill him. The careers will. So he puts himself in harm's way to protect her, keep himself alive, to give her a fighting chance, and so that neither has to kill the other. Like, this is a Haymitch plan, because that is very fucking complicated. But he's willing to sacrifice himself.
I hadn't even seen it from the perspective of, had Haymitch essentially said, like, if you don't want to end up having to go hand in hand with Katniss and potentially being killed by her, or having to kill her, get it in with the career pack. Follow this,
because they're going to go straight after her.
Yeah.
And they're going to see you as having inside knowledge that they can use against her. And they do. You see it. You see when Katniss has witnessed them together, you see him giving the careers advice on, that's where she'll be. She won't do that. This is her mindset. And he does save her. He does manage to say to them, like, look, she's got to come down eventually. Stop trying to go for her there. We'll just keep watch. She's got to come down.
Yeah. And when
it buys her time.
Obviously, after the tracker jackers and that whole situation, when he, we are getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but tells her to run, and well, there's that whole discussion on, did that happen? Was that hallucination? All that kind of thing. But I don't think at any point he ever wanted her dead.
At no point does he want this girl dead. No, he is willing to sacrifice himself for her. And that is why she's so bloody annoying.
Peeta! Oh, God. Okay.
We'll cycle back round to, could he have told her in private, though? Because he's done this all very, very publicly. Could he have told her in private?
I think he could have told her in private, but I don't think it really would have made much difference. She still would have had a similar reaction. She would have been like, why are you only telling me now? Why are you telling me the night before we go in? Potentially have to kill each other and potentially die. I don't think it would have had much of a difference, but at least this way they got her shock. It shows that she didn't know. It helps them more. And I know that's what our prep team would, they end up saying, oh, well, we couldn't have told you because this way it looks like it's a genuine reaction and that kind of thing. And I think, even though I think it's horrible, I think it was the best move.
The best way of doing it.
Yeah, in this situation.
I can see how she'd be angry, though, because she's kind of now, like, forced to play along. So you've kind of taken her agency away from her. Because, like, as long as they're on camera together now, that's going to be the first thought in anybody else's mind, right? She rejects him, and that ruins her sponsorship chances because he's golden boy. How we respond is how the Capitol responds to Peeta. So if someone so sweet and pure comes to you and says, I like you, and you're like, fuck you, that is massively gonna, it's not gonna make you look good, is it? She breaks Peter's heart. So she can't say no now. She either has to go wholeheartedly into it or fake it, or just hope they never cross paths once they are in there.
And I guess she originally starts by just trying to ignore the issue and hoping that they don't cross paths. And then obviously, again, jumping ahead when they announce 2 winners, as long as they're from the same district. And she goes to find Peeta, and whether you agree it started off as an act or what, at any point, we still find that Katniss doubts whether Peeta's feelings are real up until the cave, where Peeta says the story of when he first started loving her, and when she was singing when she was younger at school. She still isn't sure, but I think that's when she starts to realize, oh, maybe he isn't actually pretending.
She sees it the other way, so she's seen him start waving for the cameras the second they roll into the Capitol. So she sees him willing to schmooze. She sees him willing to get on the Capitol's good side. And I think she does think that, well, if he's willing to, the second we get into the Capitol, well, we're going to die. If you're willing to start playing up immediately, like, is this just the way he shows his fighting spirit? she shoots arrows at people, and he just utilizes his charm.
Yeah, that's the one thing he's good at is people, right? Talking to
He's very
people.
good at people, but
Yeah.
a part of that is like he is from a merchant house. He has
Uh,
more experience. I assume he would serve in the shop. He definitely bakes the bread. So I assume he has more like it's like customer service experience, right? You
yeah.
learn
Yeah.
to be good at hiding your reactions to things, and you learn to work within a system and how things should be. And clearly, like, his mother acts as the authoritarian there if you do something wrong. So he's very well quite used to having an authoritarian figure policing what he does. So she views that as him not having the fighting spirit and him not wanting to, I guess, maintain his dignity in what is effectively like the worst farce going, wanting to play into this, we're going to die and we're going to do it for our country kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But then I guess that's when the proposal is an extravagant thing as well. Like the and missing that he likes her and doing all of
Uh-huh.
this on camera, it is like a very public proposal. And we see them in the real world as well a lot. Like, I'm going to admit my feelings in the most extravagant way possible, and therefore it's less about two people being together and more about the public reaction. And that's how she
Yeah.
sees him.
I hate
That's how she sees
yeah.
this, isn't it? Like, it's
I hate the thought of a public proposal is not something I'm a big fan of, and especially he does it on, we're skipping quite far ahead, but to Catching Fire, he does it obviously in
the same
front
thing again.
of a lot of people on the same flipping talk show, and she can't say no. He doesn't even ask. He just says, doesn't he just say like, we're kind of getting married kind of thing. Like it's kind of just assumed like that. And for me, that would be awful. That would be so awful. Like I don't know how Tom proposed to you, but I really hope it wasn't public.
I gave him ground rules.
Uh-huh.
He'd already admitted he wanted to marry me, at which point I
Uh,
went, you do not do it publicly. You do not go to a party. You don't
uh-huh.
plan a big thing. Everyone kept asking, when's the proposal? When's this happening? And people do. And I
Yeah,
went,
they do.
I was already ready to be engaged. He gave me this ring on our first Christmas together, and I used to wear this ring on this hand whenever I was at home because I was like, it just felt right.
Yeah.
And then we walked past a sale in the window of a jewellery store, and I went, while we're here, shall we just go and have a look in? Shall we just see what's there? And it was the Jubilee sale
Nice.
for the Queen a couple of years ago. And it was an ends Monday kind of sale. And the
Right.
ring was about £500 off. And I went, that
That's
one.
a lot.
I want that one.
Yeah.
You've only got till Monday, babe. You gotta buy it. Only
Oh my
got till
God.
Monday.
That's
It's gonna go.
intense.
So we bought it. And then it was in the house, and I knew it was in the house. I was like, well, can I have it? I said, no. I was like, well, you can't just leave it in the house. Now I know it's here. So it went to an Airbnb in somewhere that meant a lot to us. And it was in the Airbnb on the first night there. Because I went, you gotta do it now. What, you gonna make me wait for it? Wait for it all evening. So first night there, I think we got there at about 3, checked in. By 7 o'clock, it was down on one knee. So
That's
you
such
can
a
subtly hint. But I was like, no, nothing public. I don't, it's a private moment, right? We have a lot of in-jokes. We have a lot of personal kind of like references and things that don't necessarily make much sense outside or would have been like awkward to explain or any of that stuff. And getting a bunch of people to where we wanted to be for that, it wouldn't have made sense. But then I know people who have been proposed to publicly, and they've wanted to say no.
Oh no.
And they have said no because they have to. Because at what point then, if you are proposed to, say someone throws you like a big party or it's like your birthday and like everyone's there and
That's so awkward.
you get down on one knee and they're like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
And you're like,
And you're
nah, I'm good,
nah, mate.
thanks.
I'm not really into that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Like, unless you have a very specific, this is how I want to be proposed to, these are your parameters to work within, how do you know that unless you know someone really, really well? And clearly some of these stories you see online of people where they've been proposed to publicly, and it has been more for show. And it's not been about what the person wants. The ring that they've
Yeah.
picked out is more
Yeah.
about the money than their personal style and the venue that they've picked. I've seen stories of people who have invited, like grooms who've invited their entire family and not told the bride's family. So all the groom's side's there and no one from the bride's side's there.
I feel like that is a red flag. I feel
That's
like
100% a red flag. But that's kind of what this is giving, and I can see why she's a bit upset.
Yeah, I mean, I would be upset. Yeah.
Like this public, like, I like you is kind of giving, like, I don't give one, but and obviously, like, Peeta's not coming from that perspective. Peeta's golden boy, but I can see why Katniss is, because that's the lens she's looking at this through, right?
I guess
She's looking at it.
I mean,
we're not
at the end of this post just yet, but as I was saying, I feel like there wasn't a better way for Peeta to do it in Peeta's sense, but from Katniss's side, yeah, I can understand why she would be pissed.
And she doesn't want to be in love at all, ever.
No.
And now you've kind of forced her to at least fake it, and it sets off a chain of events that they can never escape from.
Yeah.
So I kind of can see why girl be mad.
Girl be pissed.
Girl be mad. But at the same time, is it worth violence?
Katniss, she can be a violent girl. We kind of
little
know that already.
firecracker, isn't she?
Yeah, it won't really come out in words. It will probably come out in fists and shouting.
Yeah, that's kind of how she works.
Yeah. Okay, so this far through the post, we know it definitely gives them an advantage, right? This idea of the star-crossed lovers, and it starts off a chain of events that ends with them both surviving all 22 other players for the games and being the first dual victors to win. So really, you can't fault Peeta's and probably Haymitch's logic. For this technique. It also, like you mentioned, it gives him the chance to admit to the girl he likes the night before they're sent to the death that he likes her. And I honestly can't say I wouldn't do the same in Peeta's position, but yes, I can see why Katniss is mad. Yeah,
he's got an advantage here, because I guess this is his last chance, right? If she says out to him, if he says out to her in person, knowing Katniss like he does, that's not going to go well. But then equally, like, I can understand how he's scared of her reaction. She doesn't know anything. Does he really want to be crushed the night before he goes to his death? At least now she has to listen. At least now he needs to be heard out, because she can't interrupt him live on TV. She can't walk away. She can't, even if she says to him, I'll never be with you, like, it's never going to happen. At least he's not going to die without having told her, which is just really sweet. I think the question ultimately comes down to, like, the whole, am I the asshole here for having told her? Like, obviously it does have a benefit, but is it a line crossed? Like, does he cross a line by saying this to her and saying it publicly? He doesn't cross any line by saying to her the night before he's going to die that he's in love with her. That's actually probably quite a nice thing to hear before. But I think that the real crux of it is that it's not a lie.
Yeah.
He does like her, but Katniss herself does not believe that he likes her. And that's where all her anger comes from. That's why she has such a bad reaction. And that's why I guess Peeta would end up questioning himself with, like, whether he should have done that or not. Because she's not taking it seriously. And would she have taken it seriously if he told her in person? Probably not. Girl is clueless. We have already established.
She would have taken it as some sort of, oh, he's purposely trying to throw me off before going in to kill me more easily or something. Stupid stuff like that.
100%. It would be like, he's making me pray. He wants me to feel sorry for him. Therefore, how can I, if he says he likes me, how can I kill him? How are we going to kill him anyway? He kept you alive. You can't, like, really. So it's a really shit way to, like, put someone back for keeping you alive, isn't it? To be like, I'm going to stab you now. But for the benefit of Katniss, if she would ever see this episode, I have come up with a list, and you have helped with this. We have a list of all the things Katniss missed about why Peeta genuinely likes her, and how she has done exactly the same thing she did to her mother, and what I think she did to Effie, by ignoring the subtle signs. Peeta's less subtle. Peeta is a lot less subtle than her mother, than anyone else around her. But do you want to kick us off?
I will. Okay, we ready?
Because I got receipts out.
Okay.
All right, settle in for this one.
Right. Peeta most likely burns the loaves on purpose, knowing he will be hit. That strike will not have been the first time. He's 12 at most, and that's a big deal for anyone, but especially someone so young, risking physical harm for someone he loves.
Yes, it's not the first time he's been walloped one. He knows that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
He's got to be aware. And it's not like he just burns one loaf. He burns two. He has the forethought to burn two so he can give her a full loaf of bread and have one that he can start to tear apart for the pigs while his mum's still watching. And she also comments, like, as she's reflecting on this scenario, she says, and more than once I have turned in the school hallway and caught his eyes trained on me, only to quickly flit away. You ain't telling me that he's looking at her 4 years later because he's like, bitch, didn't thank him for that bread. He's not looking at her in the hallway going, wow, ungrateful little cow.
Likes the bread.
Like, it's because he genuinely likes you. Why else do you think a 16-year-old boy is looking at you in the school hallway?
And then kind of moving on from that kind of thing, Peeta tells Katniss the flames of their chariot outfit suit her, and then he smiles in a way that seems so genuinely sweet with just the right touch of shyness. That unexpected warmth rushes through her. And she dismisses it as luring her in to be easy prey to kill.
Yeah, girl is oblivious. He then, literally within the same scene, Katniss tries to let go of his hand. She's like, oh, I'm still clinging on to Peeta, and I'm going to drop his hand. And he tells her not to because he doesn't want to fall off.
Yeah, that got me.
Because he doesn't want to fall off. He's a big, strong guy. He looks around 50 kilo sacks of flour. And he thinks Katniss, who probably weighs 50 kilos herself, could hold him onto a moving object. I don't believe that for a second. That is the world's piss poor excuse, Peeta. You just want to maintain physical contact with her because you like her. You've not very well disguised this one. It's just she's oblivious.
I guess next one on your list. Does Peeta's father know that he likes Katniss? We know he's fond of her mother because she was a merchant, and by he I mean the dad. But he brings her cookies and gives her fantastic traits.
Yeah, so whenever like, he trades a squirrel for, like, a couple of loaves of bread and stuff, and they come home, and Katniss actually remarks that she gets, like, really good deals from him. She's got to go when Peeta's mother's not around. But she gets, like, really good deals, especially good deals from this guy. And part of me wonders whether that is down to her mother being merchant and everyone has this fondness for Prim, right? But I think Peeta's dad kind of knows exactly what's going on. And my best evidence for this is in my next comment here. In a similar vein to me thinking that Peeta's dad is aware of what is going on. When they're at the dinner table, Haymitch and Peeta, Katniss, I don't think Effie's there at this point.
No.
But they're having a big argument about who has the better skills to survive. And they're basically one-upping each other. And Peeta's like, you can shoot. And she's like, you can lift bags of flour and back and forth. And Peeta turns around to Haymitch and says, she has no idea the effect she can have. And you commented on this earlier.
We did,
now, I know for a fact when I was their age, if I liked someone, I couldn't keep that a fucking secret. It's written all over your body. You do not have any skills in hiding that yet. Now, Now, I think Haymitch picks up on this here because he says his next speech starts out with, well then, well. And he
Oh, he's
waits
cutting
a
on.
solid minute
Yeah.
before he speaks this. And then he launches into like mentor mode in terms of, okay, right, you have skills. And so Katniss views it immediately as, okay, cool, mentor mode. He thinks we have skills. Fantastic. You're not telling me a 16-year-old boy turns out around and says she has no idea the effect she has on people.
Yeah.
And that isn't a massive neon sign going, he likes her, like above his head. Like, I think Haymitch twigs.
Yeah,
And I think that's,
yeah.
I don't think Peeta confesses to him when Peeta cooks up this idea of admitting it live on stage. I think Haymitch turns to Peeta and goes, you like it, don't you?
I think you should tell everybody.
I think you tell everyone. Yeah, go on. Lay it bare.
You might as well. Yeah, you might as well.
And if Haymitch catches on that Peeta likes her in that 1 second, of course his dad's probably going to know. Of course.
Moving on from, and kind of going back to a bit what I said earlier, this next comment here, Katniss is reflecting on Peter's compliments and says, but a tiny part of me wonders if this was a compliment, that he meant I was appealing in some way. It's weird how much he's noticed me, like the attention he's paid to my hunting. Oh, he's recognizing our hobbies.
Yeah, he knows like as much as he can about it. I think when we get to the cave bit as well, he fully remembers the first time he started to like her.
Yeah,
like in minute detail.
I know.
Like he is like,
and we will get into how this compares with how Gale knew that he liked her like 6 months before she went off, and it was so stupid in comparison.
I think the fact that everyone sort of like twigs on that Peter's genuine apart from Katniss is why Gale gets so jealous.
Yeah.
It's like Gale gets really, really jealous really quickly, and Peter's response is she's worried about her boyfriend, and Katniss is like, but I don't know what he's talking about. It's just Gale. Like, there's nothing romantic between me and Gale. And I'm like, well, you are oblivious. He's jealous. If you're thinking, and I think Peeta says like, well, everyone back home will know it's fake. I think everyone back home kind of knows that the Baker Boy has a thing for Katniss.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of written all over his face.
That's why, like, he's I'm pretty sure Haymitch even says at some point that Peeta doesn't need any training in making it believable. Like, he doesn't need to talk to Peeta about and making it believable. It's all on Katniss trying to make it believable, because Peeta doesn't need any help in that department.
And even before, like, he admits that he likes her and she's forced to, like, fake a romance with him, Katniss is forcing herself to be nice to him. Like, when they've been, like, pushed together into the training arena the 3 days before, and they're trying to keep up this pretense. Well, on Katniss's part, it's pretense that they're friends. She literally comments that he's laughing and asking the questions right on cue. He's much better at this than I am, because they're trying to fake that they're interested in each other's company. They're sitting together at lunchtime, and he's much better at faking it than she is. I'm like, yes, girl, because he ain't faking it.
Yeah, he ain't faking it. He wants to be friends.
You are fake laughing, and you're trying to be nice to this guy, and he has to prompt you when to giggle. He turns around and says, like, now laugh like I've said something funny. And they have a giggle and they smile. And he has to tell her to play nice.
Yeah.
And he is genuinely good at it because he cares about you.
Okay, what's your next bit of evidence?
My next bit of evidence, he blushes bright red before he admits that he likes Katniss. So live on screen, he turns bright red. Can you fake a blush? Can you fake that? Can you cause your body to have a blush reaction?
I go like bright red when I get embarrassed or even like stressed or anything, and I can say there's no stopping that when that happens, and you have no control over when that happens. It is
involuntary.
It really is. Yeah,
it is involuntary. And I think my final bit of evidence here is less specific Peeta focused and more Katniss herself, because she says, to hear him tell it, I have many admirers. She has no idea the effect she can have. Girl is a commodity.
Uh-huh.
She is like the hottest celebrity already in District 12 before she gets reaped. Let's put this into actual District 12 context, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We are in a town, if we call it a town, not a village, we're in a town where food is scarce.
Mhm.
The girl's cute.
The
She
girl
can
is cute.
hunt is the
Uh-huh.
biggest point here.
She has
She's cute.
skill.
She can hunt. She has skills. She can provide for herself. She can
Uh-huh.
provide for a family. She is self-sufficient, right? If you go back to things like Victorian era, if you had more food, that was attractive. They
Yeah.
even say in the capital, like, if you not the capital in District 12, if you live longer, that is a sign of prosperity, and people want to know how you did it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're telling me that this girl who is self-sufficient and means that the family that she has is more likely to survive. This is biologically driven attraction, right?
Yep.
Of course there are multiple people after her, because that would mean that she can actually help a family survive more. If she can hunt and dad can go work in the mines, the
Uh-huh.
family that they have together will be more prosperous.
And
Of
I guess
course, men are after her.
I guess so she, she sees everything that we've listed. She's heard all of these things, but our girl Katniss still misinterprets it. And
100%.
the
Every
same way
time.
she does with Effie, the same way she does with some of the things that her mum says, and probably how she also thinks there's nothing romantic going on with Gale either, even though there obviously is, especially kind of near the end. And it's not her fault, not really. Like, she's dismissed the idea of love, and every week she's still stressing about feeding her family, and now she's in the capital and about to die, seeing danger around every flipping corner. And a nice change from that, oh my god, he bumped me in the school corridor, it must be love, hormones. But she's so unable or unwilling to
She
shift that
doesn't
mindset.
she doesn't get to be a teenage girl. That's the
Mm.
point. Like, I think of someone like Madge, who she doesn't realize is her friend in the first place. They sit in silence at the lunch together, and she's the closest person they've got to friends. But
Mm.
Madge has the privilege, really, of not having to worry about food and scarcity, and so she can be aware of like boys around her and things, and
Mhm.
find some sort of happiness. Katniss cannot sink into those hormones.
No.
She's just going to be a little ball of anger against the capital because she can't do anything else. She can't look out of that red tinted haze around her of how do I fight the shit situation that I'm in to see any of that. But
Mm.
I think her not being able or willing to shift that to see any of that is then part of the problem. Um, and she's so unable to work anything else to her advantage. I think going back to like how this has saved her, like this has given her a genuine advantage. Peeta liking her has pulled her into that attractiveness that because she can't see anyone else around her as liking her. She
Mm.
can't see any, I guess, good quality in herself. She can't think like that. Everything is survival, 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 and she can't twist that mindset. There's a direct quote from Haymitch that just proves
Mhm.
how much that Peeta has helped her be viewed in a different way. And I think it's only by having other people view her in a different way that she starts to open up herself to Gale and Peeta later on, and that becomes a whole thing. But Haymitch says, and I quote, because at this point she's not thinking about any action that she's doing. She can't think politically. He says, so far, you're shining like a star. This is just before when they're getting the mentor coaching. Volunteered to save your sister. Sinner made you look unforgettable. You've got the top training score. People are intrigued, but no one knows who you are. The impression you make tomorrow will decide exactly what I can get you in terms of
Yeah.
sponsors.
Yeah.
None of that was done with any physical effort on Katniss's part. She
Mm.
volunteers for Prim, not by any sort of conscious decision, really. It is instinctual. Cinna makes her look unforgettable. He's the one who focuses on her outfit and makes her look gorgeous. The top training score, she managed that out of anger. She lost her cool
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
shot at them and then thought she'd massively cocked up. People are intrigued. And then he even says to her, like, before Peeta, like, put her on the map or whatever, I think he says, she was somehow charming, but forgettable. There wasn't really
Mm.
much substance to her in those. So she
Yeah.
looked great and she volunteered, but her interview wasn't fantastic. It was all
Uh-huh.
right. You didn't screw it up. Well done. But you weren't great. He tells her she has all the charm of a dead slug.
Nice, Hamish. Nice.
Like, classic Haymitch there. She
Uh-huh.
has all the charm of a dead slug. And Peter's declaration, she's worried that it has wiped every other tribute off the map, and Peter's won, and he's screwed her over, and she says she feels betrayed. No, honey. No, honey. He solidified your place on the map.
Yeah.
He put you there. You can't recognize when people like you around you. You can't recognize your own attributes. You volunteered and you had already given up. You already saw it as a death sentence. And he is the one who is making you aware exactly what qualities you have. He is the one making you aware that people do like you. You do have charm. You are a hot commodity to people who don't just care about you as a commodity.
So I guess when we come down to the actual question, am I the arsehole for declaring my feelings, essentially public on a live talk show to the girl that I like, it really does come down, I guess, to does the line being crossed come down to whether his feelings are genuine or not, which I think they
They
are.
100% are.
Or whether he also benefits from having confessed. Yes, but they both do.
They both
He's helped
benefit.
both of
Like,
them.
it wasn't a pure selfish survival.
Mm-hmm. And with this system that they live in, does he not deserve to use all the weapons at his disposal in an attempt to stay alive as long as possible? And this is one of his weapons, quite an effective one.
It is such an effective weapon for him to. And it's both of them at once, right? You are killing two birds with one stone. In that declaration, in fact, you're saving two birds with one stone, to be completely honest with you. Like, with that one comment, he has done what is right for him and for the girl he loves, which is so damn sweet. But then I think Katniss's point of view on the opposite, like, we're on the outside, we 100% know that it's the right move. Could it have gone better? Yes. But would any way have been more effective and done what needed to be done?
Yeah.
No.
No.
This was the only
No.
way to go down.
Yeah.
But I think the thing about Katniss here that annoys me the most in this section, though, is when she turns around and says Peeta had no right to say those things about her. I'm
What
sorry.
doesn't he even say that's that bad? It just says
Nothing. He says he
Yeah.
likes her and they're both in the games together and she had no idea that he liked her. And all of it's fucking true.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a lie.
none of it is a lie. But why do Peter's feelings not belong to himself? Why can he
I
not
guess
declare that
some
he
of
likes her?
Katniss's feelings don't really belong to her, do they? She can't really express the emotions, so she's probably surprised that someone's done that so publicly.
But it's also like on him. If he wants to publicly declare that he likes Katniss, he's allowed to. That's how he feels. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't told anyone that they're together. He hasn't said that they've been in a romance for the last 3 years. He hasn't.
Oh my god, I think I'd kill him if he did.
He hasn't declared anything that isn't true or that he doesn't have the right to express because they are his emotions. Like, I can forgive her for not thinking Peter's genuine, but I kind of can't forgive her for not allowing him to own his own feelings.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she's more worried about how this makes her look than I had no idea that he liked me. Oh dear God, what do I do? And that's where I draw the line. So if you want to go back to the am I the asshole for having declared this publicly, there's more than one badge. So we've currently been under every person we've had so far has been not the asshole. I kind of think Peeta's not the asshole, but Katniss kind of is.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Katniss is.
I agree with you on this one, and our girl Katniss is an asshole there for at least a little bit when she kind of just doesn't really process that very well at all, does she?
Like, she's not the asshole, I guess, for not being able to process in a way, but it is that final bit for me. It's that you had no right to say those things about me, and the violent reaction where I go, really, love, really? Like, that's a bit far, do we not think?
Yeah, I don't know why her gut reaction is violence, but I don't know. I guess a lot of that feeling's probably bubbled up.
I think so. I don't know whether this part of it is I think it might just touch a nerve for her because this is another merchant and seam romance,
I hadn't
and
even thought about that.
that's what went so badly wrong for her parents. So whether she thinks that because it's not genuine, because she doesn't believe that it's genuine, whether her gut reaction is he's using my mom and dad against me, I don't know, because it does kind of reflect that, and she doesn't see any romance going well. But I don't think she sees a merchant and seam romance going well either.
And then obviously put that into the context of in less than 12 hours, I'm going off into arena to try and keep myself alive, and I'm terrified.
Yeah, she's got a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot going on.
You're entitled to feel how you feel, but that does not mean that you can lash out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But
So
we'll get into Katniss, I think. We're going to get into Katniss next time. So as a little teaser for next time, our girl Katniss is asking, am I the asshole for faking a romance to survive?
That's going to be a meaty episode.
That's going to be a very meaty episode, and I feel like we're already going to start digging in to, is it fake? Is it not? How effective is a survival technique? But before we sign off for the day, I have a question for you. So we have Haymitch here. Now I think we've agreed that Haymitch and Peeta have cooked up this little thing together, with him admitting that he likes Katniss live on camera. But if you had just been paired with a mentor like Haymitch, would you trust his advice, or would you go rogue?
So I guess if I found myself
with Haymitch, the drunkard,
reaped into a competition where I was going to have to fight to the death, and my mentor was the only one I had near me who had done it before and won. And even though he was drunk but gave me advice, I would have to listen to it, because who else am I getting advice from? And granted, the only advice he really gives them before he actually starts stepping up is like, stay alive, find water.
That's the exact. Before he cleans up his act, before he starts like becoming a functional alcoholic as opposed to just an alcoholic, and actually like keeping himself able to give advice and be a mentor, the only advice he gives is stay alive, and then he bursts out laughing because he's completely fucking hammered. So if I was getting that kind of advice, I think I would go rogue. If I had the Haymitch who seems to actually have a plan, like Katniss and Peeta did, I'd probably go along with him at that point. But we will get into in Haymitch's episode exactly what Haymitch is like as a mentor, and exactly who has the responsibility of making Haymitch a decent mentor. Because I have so many thoughts on that one as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a very in-depth episode, and I loved reading Sunrise and the Reaping, so that's going to have a whole lot of extra
bonus content towards the end of the season. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys, for sticking around for our third episode.
Episode 3 that we have recorded in one weekend. Congratulate us as well, because I have been sat on the floor in front of my bookcase for far too many hours this weekend. My hips are crying out in agony.
You need a proper chat, because it's been a lot.
Get a beanbag for next time.
Yeah. We're so excited to dive into the love triangle next time. And I have lots of opinions on Gale, and lots of opinions on Peeta, and lots of opinions on Katniss. So it's going to be a good one.
If you want to get ahead of the game, drop those thoughts in the comments. Let us know what you thought of Peeta and Katniss today. And is Katniss the asshole here? I hope we're all agreed that Peeta isn't. I hope we're all on the same page with that one. What do you think about Katniss's reaction? And if you had a mentor like Haymitch, what would you do? Would you trust his advice, or would you start going off your own steam and figuring things out for yourself?
I can't wait to see what the other opinions are, because I am intrigued about this.
Yeah, let's see if anyone's got particular spicy ones in the comments. Let us know as well. Right.
Yeah, my favourite. Okay.
Well, we'll go for the day before my light completely vanishes, because it's probably about to. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our podcast, and don't forget to let us know your thoughts on all of our potential assholes.
No matter what platform you're listening to us on, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, upvote, and all of that stuff.
If you like what we do and want to find out more, all of our platforms are listed in the description or show notes. We're a 2-person team, so any support or feedback is always greatly received.
Tune in next time to Once Upon a Red Flag. We have discussed the fact that she has all the emotional range of a tree stump.
Tree stump!
She's not really aware of what she's feeling, is she?
Yeah.
But she's a child, she's embarrassed, kind of, because she shouldn't be the one to be putting food on the table.